Hi, I'm Joseph Vero, designer, engineer, and CEO of Vero Engineering, and I brought some of my knives to show off. Why I designed them the way I did, what makes them special. Can't wait to show you guys. I went to school to be a mechanical engineer. While I was a mechanical engineering student, I was fortunate enough to get an internship with a startup that we designed tech for first responders and law enforcement. While I was designing there, I tried to focus on things that the officers and first responders would actually want to use. I started designing things that I wanted to use on the side, which rolled into Vero Engineering and what we do now. One of the things that I wanted to design was a pocket knife, and specifically to show off how a flipper tab could work on a pocket knife. So I went ahead and I designed it in CAD. Went ahead and had that design prototyped by a manufacturer. I got it at 2018 Blade Show and I flipped it open for the first time. It was this euphoric experience. That was the aha moment that I could design something myself, have it produced, iterate it myself with 3D printing, get all of the kinks, make sure it feels good in the hand, make sure it functions well, especially if it functions well being printed. Had a little over 100 produced for the first run. They sold out in the first night, which was incredible. That didn't happen to new designers. So I was like, oh, this could be something. And now here we are with a bunch of knives on the table. So while I was designing my first knife, I designed something that I wanted to own. This is that knife. The idea behind the impulse was that it wasn't a small knife. Somewhat easy to carry because it still has a small form factor, but has a nice purchase on it. Full titanium, clip, backspacer, screws, pivot screws. The interior of the scales are milled out to reduce weight, and an M390 steel blade. Has a very clean Tonto edge on it, on ceramic bearings, making it very smooth. The flipper tab in line with the spine of the knife. This way, it doesn't stick out. It doesn't like grab your keys while it's in your pocket. But more importantly, when you flip it open by pulling down and back, the flipper tab's not sticking out the front as well. This way, if you wanted to, you can choke up on the knife when you're doing kind of fine-tuned work. And you don't have to contend with a flipper tab to figure out where to hold the knife. This way you can hold it where you want to and what's most comfortable for you while you're using it. People love the design. Some people just don't want a bigger knife. That's where the Impulse Mini comes in. So the Impulse Mini has a smaller blade but still fires out, and it's very easy to carry. It's a little smaller, a little thinner this way and thinner this way. So it's a little easier to carry in your pocket. Again, you can get your hands past the knife, pull out your keys if you need to. What if you like the size of the Impulse but wanted it thin, like the Impulse Mini? Don't worry, we have you. That is where the Impulse Thin comes in. It has a nice, long drop point blade, great for pull cutting, nice high flat grind. This is a very, very functional knife for EDC. Thinner overall, which makes it easier to pocket carry. We added a milled pocket on both the front and back of the knife so that you can thumb open or middle finger flick it. Use the flipper tab, and you know you got the geometry right on your flipper tab if you can flip it around and flip it open with your pinky. Don't expect to be able to do that as soon as you get it, but with practice, you might be able to. It's lighter because there's less titanium, less steel, and it's still milled out. It has a really solid lockup. You don't have to worry about while you're using this, is the lock gonna fail on you? Is there gonna be flex in the lock bar? And again, on the Impulse Thin, we have the belt satin here. We have the hand satin, stone washed, and black washed. And I'm very happy to say, Huckberry is gonna have all 4 of those. While I love a good titanium frame lock knife, and I love an Americanized Tonto blade, did want a drop point blade. That's why the next knife that I designed was the Synapse. This is a very popular model of ours, and actually Huckberry had and sold out very quickly of the Synapse model. It has a high flat grind, which makes it very good for slicing. It also features that flipper tab, milled pocket in the back, but not the front. But the milled pocket on the back allows you to middle finger flick the knife open, and the ceramic bearings make it nice and smooth while opening and closing. The overlay on this is black micarta. Black micarta is an interesting material. It's a composite material. It adds a little bit of extra grip to the blade so that the knife isn't gonna slip out of your hands, maybe if you're using it while it's wet. There's a Synapse Mini, which is a little bit smaller. You can still get a full 4-finger grip on the knife, and you're not losing that much blade. So this does actually make a very good EDC knife. And when you put it in your pocket, you can still get your hand in your pocket and take out your keys or your wallet. It works very well that way. That said, there is a place for gigantic knives, and that's where the Synapse XL comes in. Yes, it's big, but when you flip it out, it locks up solidly. It is such an amazing feeling. And I'm not just saying that because I designed it. It is, it just really is. It's kind of one of those things that you have to try. This is a great knife to be able to go out and trim some trees and go hiking and do the outdoor stuff where maybe you're wearing gloves and you want to be able to have a really nice purchase on the knife. This is a perfect knife for that. I never carried a pry bar before. It just didn't seem like something I needed. Then I designed this with the idea that it was predominantly the driver that I wanted. It had the bits that I wanted. But then I started carrying it. And it's one of those things, just like a knife, you don't realize how much you need something until you have it for a bit and then forget it at home. And then that's exactly when you need it for that most important thing. And that is why I ended up loving the pry bar part of this. The Fulcrum is a full titanium pry bar that has an integral milled pocket to allow it to hold bits. These are Weha System 4 4mm bits that you're able to take out and put into the clip. This way you have that bit that you need on you all the time. I keep a T8 and a Phillips head in mine. The T8 works really well to adjust the pivots on the knives. So this is the full size, just over 5 inches, 5.2 inches, which is under 6 inches for TSA compliance. So this is TSA compliant, as is the Fulcrum Mini. 3.8 inches, has the same clip with bit holder in it, and has the milled pocket. And this way, you could take your bits out and have a slightly smaller package, but have a full driver when you need one. All of the knives that we currently offer might change in the future, but right now are M390 steel. What's the point of having a pocket knife if you're worried that it's going to be dull when you pull it out of your pocket and use it? It has that great edge retention. It can take a very sharp edge and highly stainless. All of my knives either are full titanium handles, titanium bolster lock handles, or titanium liner handles, which are similar to the bolster lock, where the scale covers the entire handle and the liners on the inside are titanium. The mechanical properties of titanium versus, let's say, steel, there's not a big trade-off in terms of strength, but you get a much lighter material. The spring tension on the titanium for the clip, the ability to customize this if you wanted to do anodizing. You can anodize the screws or the handle. It just makes for a much better feeling, weight, and strength versus lightness pocket knife. The bearings for Vero knives are ceramic, as is the detent. And an interesting thing about it is that the ceramic is actually harder than the steel itself. We usually shoot for 61, 62 Rockwell, which is the hardness of the steel, and the ceramic bearings are even harder than that. One thing you don't want is your bearings to degrade faster than the steel does. Then you start getting play. One thing that we want is for people to be able to customize their knives. We want you to make the knife that you want to own, that you want to show off. We offer most of the knives that have overlays or inlays with G10 configurations, colored G10, different types of micarta, and even marbled carbon fiber. Another way to get the knife that you want specifically is blade finish. This is a belt satin blade. This is my personal favorite. I don't want to change anybody's opinion on anything, but after machining the blade and getting the primary bevel, they take the blade and they grind it across a grinder by hand, which creates this beautiful belt satin finish. There's also a hand satin blade. So after the blade is finished, they polish the blade, which gives it this beautiful, clean finish with a great pattern from the stones that they use on that. We also offer stone washed, which is a great finish for a user knife. It hides wear very, very well. So if you want to keep the blade looking new for a long period of time, stonewash is a great finish for that. That translates to the black wash knife as well. So after the black coating is applied, there's stonewash, just like the stonewash blade is, which gives it great texture, which also helps hide any wear. Those same finishes translates to the fulcrums as well. So we offer the fulcrums in a stonewashed finish, as well as a black wash finish. So you can have your fulcrum matching your knife. While I showed you guys a lot of the knives I've designed, we are Vero Engineering and not Vero Knives for a very specific reason. I am in the works of designing a watch, a bit driver, different than the Fulcrum, one that is more meant for EDC, tuning and maintenance. I have a flashlight in mind, a fixed blade that just came out for the first time. Knives are just the start. Hopefully we'll be partnering with Huckberry and getting some of those designs out to you guys as well. I hope you guys enjoyed the deep dive into the Vero Engineering knives. If you're interested in any of the knives, keep an eye out on their website for drops. Again, thank you guys very much, and we'll see you out there.